That's good. All right. Hi. Welcome to my awesome stream. Today we're going to be doing another lesson on voice training for day number 7. So let's get started.
Modulation, voices, sound. Hello, welcome to day 7 of the course. We're going to start off by talking about modulation. It's a posh way of saying how much melody we put into our voices. Without all important modulation, voices sound boring, monotone, and without much power at all. Human beings do not communicate effectively in a monotone. They also don't communicate effectively, by the way, speaking too fast. And the proof of both of those facts can be heard every day on commercial radio stations. TV and cinema commercials can put up legal lines about terms and conditions and all that stuff as captions. On radio, there are no captions. So listen to any radio commercial that has a legal line at the end, and most of the time you will find the legal line is spoken very fast and in a monotone. The reason this is done is so psychologically you don't hear it. You don't take it in. Your ears hear it, but the brain doesn't. The advertisers don't want you to hear the legal line. It's only there because the law says it has to be there. Terms and conditions apply. Will not own the car. Full details on our website, etc. So if you find it difficult to engage others with your speech, whether it's chatting to co-workers or chatting up someone you fancy, it could be that you are speaking too fast and in too monotone a fashion. It doesn't take that much effort to break out of this, though. So for the fellow voiceover artists watching this, you'll know that when we're asked to do a standard documentary voiceover, we're usually asked to go down at the end of every sentence, because this is the traditional documentary style. This is the way we speak in the documentary. Did you see also how volume also goes down slightly at the end of the last syllable? Generally in Western culture, when we want to say a question, we go up at the end of the sentence. Sometimes.
All right. So whenever we ask a question, we would raise our tone up
With a little glide as well. This is the way we speak in a documentary. Now that sounds just plain wrong if it's a piece of narration. But it's fine if you're asking a question. It helps the communication process. If you find you aren't engaging with people in your communication, this could be a part of why you're failing in some respects. You've got to get the tone right, the melody right. In our communication with each other, there are very regular questions we ask each other. How are you today? Would you like sugar with that? And so on. So if you're the kind of person who's lacking confidence and has got into the bad habit of speaking in a monotone voice, the power of the question will come over much better if you raise the tone at the end rather than lower it. Take the words away and listen to the notes as if it was a song. That's the test to see if you're going up or staying the same or even going down. If you say a question going down at the end, it just doesn't make any sense at all. Many people I've met speak in a monotone voice, and they seem to have developed this style specifically to be cool or gothy, you know? But it's a bit of a fashion thing. I think it makes it very hard for the majority of people to actually understand what they're saying and to fully engage. So don't do any of that stuff. I'm not saying that you should speak like a super animated radio DJ type from the 1980s, because that would be really ridiculous. But to be honest, there are certain traits from that style of speaking which you could take in very small amounts and add it to a monotone voice, and that'll give you much more power and help you communicate in a more effective way. Now, this steer away from a monotonous voice, by the way, is for all moods. Your days will not all be sunshine and light, but even for boring or even sad situations, decent and appropriate modulation really assists in the communication process. So, here is a sentence right now. I'm going to speak it in a very monotone voice, and then we're going to investigate different ways of saying it not by increasing the power of voice at all, but by modulating it.
A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation.
Pause the video and say it the way I just said it, please.
Oh, what did he say? A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation.
Very boring conversation.
Pause the video and say it the way I just said it, please. Now, note in that sentence, there's no punctuation at all. In conversation, it's up to us to add our own punctuation. In other words, where we pause for breath, where we pause for dramatic effect, or simply to let something soak in. Leaving the right amount of gaps is also another very important thing you need to learn to communicate effectively. Listen to the best speakers around, people who have been trained in the art of communication, such as politicians, actors, most of the speakers on the excellent TED videos you can find on YouTube. They've mastered the act of leaving just the right amount of gaps within the sentences and between the sentences. If you were to edit those gaps to be longer or shorter, the power of communication and the enjoyment of the talks would, weirdly, be dramatically reduced. So, here's that same sentence again. This time I'm going to put in a short pause after the word voice.
A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation.
So pause the video, say it the way I said it, please.
A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation.
Okay, it's still a boring, monotonous voice, but it makes a bit more sense now. It's a bit more listenable because it's got a gap after the word voice and before the word makes. So now the listener has got a fighting chance of working out what the heck you're saying. The next thing we can do is to put emphasis on certain words. By changing the emphasis on certain words, we'll sometimes change the actual meaning of the sentence, which we'll do in a future module, but for now I'm going to read the sentence like this.
A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation.
So pause the video and say it the way I just said it. Sense now, it's a bit more listenable because it's got a gap after the word voice and before the word makes. So now the listener has got a fighting chance of working out what the heck you're saying. The next thing we can do is to put emphasis on certain words. By changing the emphasis on certain words, we'll sometimes change the actual meaning of the sentence, which we'll do in a future module, but for now I'm going to read the sentence like this.
A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation.
So pause the video and say it the way I just said it. Well, the sense...
Damn it.
Okay, it's still a boring, monotonous voice, but it makes a bit more sense now. It's a bit more listenable because it's got a gap after the word voice and before the word makes. So now the listener has got a fighting chance of working out what the heck you're saying. The next thing we can do is to put emphasis on certain words. By changing the emphasis on certain words, we'll sometimes change the actual meaning of the sentence, which we'll do in a future module, but for now I'm going to read the sentence like this.
A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation.
So pause the video and say it the way I just said it. Well, the sense and meaning of this sentence is becoming clearer.
Alright, so for emphasis, too big. Circle that, put that here. Underline 3 times. A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation. Is that how he did it?
Now, change certain words. By changing the emphasis on certain words, we'll sometimes change the actual meaning of the sentence, which we'll do in a future module, but for now I'm going to read the sentence like this.
A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation.
So pause the video and say it the way I just said it. Well, the sense and meaning of this sentence is becoming clearer now. But the problem with speaking in a monotone is that it bores people. Why? It's because there are no surprises. When people have heard one sentence, they know the next sentence will sound similar, the next one as well. So never mind what the content is, there are no surprises coming up. No colour, no passion, no emotion in what you're saying. So, finally, let me put some of those elements into this sentence. We would all say this in a slightly different way, but I would say it as,
a monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation.
or something like that. A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation. A monotone voice makes for a very boring conversation. Plenty of different ways of saying it. You notice the tune you do it. Na 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 na, da 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 na na. Right? Just analyze the way you are saying it, analyze the way I'm saying it. Just think of the tune that you sing. So if you want to say record it and play it back, and instead of analyzing the words, analyze the tune. Na 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 na, la 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 la. Right? So thinking of the tune, it really helps a lot in understanding how to add melody to a conversation. It really does. So your homework is to find other sentences from a magazine or newspaper. Really try to modulate your voice away from the monotone and determine as you go along which words are important, which words need to be emphasized, and where to put the gaps for maximum communication effect. And it's not always on the commas. I know there's a lot to think about here, but we will return to this subject as we go along. If it doesn't come naturally as how you modulate sentences as you speak, generally if you go down, you will sound negative, sad or passive. And if you go up, it's positive, happy and active. Yeah, but we will return to this subject as we go along. If it doesn't come naturally as how you modulate sentences as you speak, generally if you go down, you will sound negative, sad or passive. And if you go up, it's positive, happy and active. But it's not always that way. Look, if you're really stuck on this subject, find someone that you admire as a speaker who's been recorded on YouTube or whatever. Isolate a single sentence they're saying. Play it again and again and copy the tune they're singing in their speech. Then speak the sentence in their style to get the speech patterns in your head. This really will help you a lot. Right, let's move on to the second item on day 7. Maybe you signed up to this course because you're okay with general communication skills and confidence, but simply want a deeper voice. Now, from a medical point of view, we all have the voices we are born with because the depth of our voices is determined by the length and thickness of our vocal cords.
Depth of our voice is determined by the length of our vocal cords.
This is in turn determined by the genetic code
Which term is determined, or which in turn is greatly determined by our genetic code.
when you're being made into a human being, and how much testosterone you've got during the puberty part of your growing up. If you try and put on a lower voice when you haven't got the equipment for it, it's a bit like pumping a lot of bass power from a hi-fi amplifier into a tiny treble loudspeaker. Oh yes, it will distort and harm the loudspeaker. In other words, if you try and put on a deeper voice, well, it will do harm to your vocal cords, and you do not want to do that. Putting on a deeper voice when you haven't got the equipment to actually project one makes it harder to be understood as well, and you'll sound a bit weird. So you may feel that taking up smoking, glugging lots of whiskey will help you get a deeper voice. Well, it's true that doing this may well swell the vocal cords, but not in a good way. The swelling is actually an inflammation, and you get laryngitis from smoking and drinking too much, as well as all the other health issues. When people smoke and drink any alcohol, by the way, not just whiskey, these products irritate the mucosal lining of the larynx. It causes inflammation. Yes, you temporarily get a raspy voice that's often deeper, but do you really want to ruin your body in this way? I think not. So what you need to do is to find your optimal tone. Remember when we did that deep humming before and the gliding up to down to find when it resonated in your hand? Okay, I want you to hum until your face feels like it's vibrating. Put your fingers lightly on either side of your nose. Now I'd like you to hum and move up and down the scale until you find the maximum vibration.
This is my resonant note about there, the maximum vibration.
I have to say this is a pretty rough and ready method, but generally that would be your optimal tone. You obviously wouldn't speak in a monotone, but that is the note that you should return to again and again if you want to have the maximum resonance. Then, to make it sound apparently deeper, this is where all the other elements get woven in. For example, the relaxation, particularly in the lower muscles of the diaphragm. And the breathing exercises are important to help you actually lower your voice a couple of tones. You then add in the improvements to the body language that we've discussed: standing tall, looking confident, keeping eye contact with the person you're speaking to. Another way to create the oral illusion that you're speaking in a deeper voice is simply to speak slower. This will also help your communication. Many people who lack confidence speak faster, but you just have...
Ooh. People who lack confidence speak a lot faster. Well, not a lot, speak faster.
To actively slow yourself down and really know that the person listening will listen to your every word and will wait to the end of you speaking, unless they're terribly rude. We'll cover speed in a future day, but by doing all the other things we're addressing in this course, it'll give an apparently much deeper voice, even though it may not be actually that much deeper scientifically. You are using, in a way, psychological tricks to enhance your voice with all the elements that are covered in this course. So, if I had to summarize how to achieve a deeper voice, I'd say: control your breathing, breathe from the diaphragm. Identify tensions, learn to relax. Gain confidence. Positive body language, eye contact. But finding your optimal tone by humming up and down until you find your face vibrating is also an essential step. So pause the video and have a go yourself at finding your optimal tone. The third part of today's exercises are also linked with humming. This time we're going to do chanting. Chanting with meditation is very powerful, but from the point of view of improving a voice by sitting in a very comfortable position, cross-legged if you like, on the floor, with your hands in a yogic position if you wish, but you will be very relaxed by going Om, Om, Om. Remember what we've said about breathing deeply from the diaphragm. If your shoulders are going up when you breathe in, you are breathing shallowly. So pause the video and do at least 2 or 3 minutes of just relaxing yourself and low chanting, really relaxed. Project your voice as deeply as possible with one Om for each deep breath. Om.
Om.
Finally today, it's back to the wall. Remember on day 4, I encouraged you to put your nose close to a wall or a corner of a room. This was simply to amplify the voice coming back at you. Now, some of you may be lucky enough to have a recording studio you've got access to, or a good pair of over-the-ear headphones connected to your phone or hi-fi system with a microphone. You just need to amplify your voice a little bit. If you haven't got any of this technical gear, don't worry, just stand in front of your wall again. Today, no humming, no speaking. I want you to sing me your favorite bass line. You see, music can be very useful in enhancing any voice. You may not have a musical bone in your body, but I bet there are some songs you really do enjoy to listen to. I'm not asking you to do anything to a professional standard, Just think of a great song that's got a good bass line and repeat that to yourself. Rather than simply humming or speaking, remembering the song that you enjoy will help you to relax as well. It doesn't, make it a chore, does it really? It makes it fun. It doesn't matter what key you sing it in, just get it as low as you possibly can, relax as much as you can, and use those ears and listen and feel what's happening to your body. So, what song are you going to choose? Something from Motown maybe? A riff from a rap song? One of my favourite bass line is actually Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, 75 I think it was, called The Night, like this. Boom 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 boom. Yes, I know I'm an awful singer, but remember, it's not about the quality of the singing. It's about getting those bass notes out and losing your inhibitions. So that's the end of today's training. So go off to your wall, have some fun with your bass lines, and please remember everything else we've done today about modulation, talking about the deeper voice, and don't forget to practice your Om chanting. See you tomorrow.
All right, let's see. Throat Hurts by David. Is it by using a deeper voice that I can reduce the pain in my throat? I teach a lot online and offline, and after about 2 or 3 hours, I start feeling pain in my throat. I know humming helps, but apart from it, is there any way to train even further? Is there any way to train even further the vocal cords? That's actually a good question. I guess this Udemy author does not answer any questions. Actually, I don't think for all the lectures I've looked at the Q&A for, I don't think he has answered anything. Let's check here. Yeah, I mean, oh, actually he did. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna go and do another lesson. But let me put Chop down and take a quick break. BRB. Alright, sweet, we're back, and we're going to start on day 8.
Hello and welcome. Today is day 8 of a 30-day journey. And we're going to start off in this first section by trying to get some more emotion out of your speech. Maybe you're already an actor and you already know many more sophisticated techniques than what I'm about to show you. And that's fine, but for most viewers, you may be a little bit unsure about doing anything outside your cozy comfort zone. However, to see any results from this course, I'm afraid we will have to take you outside this precious cozy zone of yours. As you've probably realized by now, many of the things I'm asking you to do may seem a little strange, and I'm sure you have found your own private place to do these exercises. So let me assume that you're in that private place now, where you're not going to be disturbed, you're not going to be listened to, you're not going to be put off. If you want a powerful voice, you need to understand how your own voice works, its parameters, its limitations, and also how your body reacts when trying to create a powerful voice. Have you ever been in a highly emotional situation when someone has really angered you, or a situation has got out of hand and you suddenly yelled something out? Then your mind thought, gosh, did I really say that? That's a bit unusual for me. Now, this course isn't about how to yell, shout, or strain your voice at all. A powerful voice means just that, power, but controlled power. We want your voice to be a top-of-the-range Rolls-Royce car with controlled power, not a souped-up drag racer. So let's pretend you're a leading actor. You're on stage. You have to say the following line. You're saying the line to your life partner, who you've just found out has cheated on you with your best friend. Instead of just yelling this line, you will learn controlled power in how you say it. As we've learnt before, there are other aspects to a more powerful voice than the actual volume. So take a deep breath from the diaphragm, remember. Relax those shoulders. Look your imaginary partner in the eye, and with dignity and depth, say the following.
I can't believe you're saying these things to me. You mean after all these years, your love for me has been a lie?
Now notice that I
can't believe you're saying these things to me. I mean, after all these years, your love for me has been a lie?
Now notice that I wasn't really raising my voice at all, but there was power in my voice. Also notice where I paused. Notice what words I put the emphasis on. Okay, you don't want to be an actor, and I'm not the world's best actor either, of course, but you see my point here. This exercise will be very useful in you getting out of your comfort zone and understanding how emotion can change your voice and how you can control that voice when it comes out. Record yourself saying this line at your end and play it back. Does it sound convincing? Does it sound powerful without raising your voice? So pause the video now and have a go at the line now on the screen.
I think this would be a good opportunity to use the replay feature that's on OBS that I didn't set up, but I didn't think I would have any use for it in the stream because it's not a gaming stream where like I would replay a certain clip of myself like doing something that needs to be emphasized, for example. But doing something like this and being able to see myself live while I'm practicing would kind of help, so I gotta look into that. Anywho, let me try this again. Get into character. I can't believe you're saying these things to me. You mean, after all these years, your love for me has been a lie?
Right, let's do some more humming, but this time I want you to identify a certain set of muscles in your neck. These muscles need to be fully relaxed in order to get the most resonance out of your voice. The way we test it is with humming. We've already done glides up to down. We've found hopefully the optimal point where you get most vibrations. If you can just get to that note now, for me it's about there, all right? That's my optimal note. But it's not as optimal as it could be, because if I fully relax the muscles at the back of the throat, the same ones when you're throwing up after a party somewhere, right? It's difficult for me unless I get in your throat and point at it, but you will learn it. And when you relax that muscle, it sounds like this. See if you can replicate what I'm doing here. You may not get it straight away, but once you identify that muscle group that you really need to relax, suddenly you'll get that nice, deeper, resonant sound, and you'll get even more vibration. Just have a go. The third thing I'd like to discuss today is fitness. At some point today, I want you to do something that takes a step forward in your general fitness. Yes, we are doing all these things about your breathing and your voice, but general fitness is so important for supporting your voice. By being generally fit, you won't be out of breath so much, meaning you'll be able to have more power in your voice. So I really think it's important that you achieve and maintain physical fitness. Get loads of sleep, eat good, natural foods, be fully hydrated, drink pure water regularly, ideally a small glass every hour. Be active, do regular exercise. So today, as your homework, I would like you to do something positive towards this goal. If you normally take the car somewhere a bit, you won't be out of breath so much, meaning you'll be able to have more power in your voice. So I really think it's important that you achieve and maintain physical fitness. Get loads of sleep, eat good, natural foods, be fully hydrated, drink pure water regularly, ideally a small glass every hour. Be active, do regular exercise. So today, as your homework, I would like you to do something positive towards this goal. If you normally take the car somewhere local, take the bike or walk. If you keep on meaning to sign up to that gym down the road, look, do it, all right? You've never got round to it. Today you will do it. Sign yourself up to a personal trainer if you have little willpower to actually use the gear effectively. And as well as physical fitness, mental fitness is also important to maintain good communication skills. Feel good about yourself. A higher or even nervous voice could be a sign of a lack of self-confidence or a reaction to some bad things in your past. Look, you have a right to be here. Know that most people genuinely want to hear what you have to say and will give you time to talk. They will. Okay, we'll end today with another breathing exercise. As well as being generally physically fit, you need to have a good volume of air to speak with, and it needs to be strong and long-lasting too. So I want you to exercise your diaphragm.
BRB.
diaphragm by blowing out sharply like this. So pause the video, have a go. So, how do you feel? Lightheaded? Sorry. Look, it's really a good exercise. It's a good exercise to strengthen your abdominal muscles and your diaphragm, which will assist greatly your ability to achieve a rich, low, resonant voice. See you tomorrow.
Wait, what? Can you repeat that?
So, how do you feel? Lightheaded? Sorry. Look, it's really a good exercise. It's a good exercise to strengthen your abdominal muscles and your diaphragm, which will assist greatly your ability to achieve a rich, low, resonant voice. See you tomorrow. Hello and welcome to day
For a richer and more resonant voice. Actually, let's go back to day 8.
Hello and welcome to day.
And copy this exercise down.
But this time, I want you. The way we test it is with humming. We've already done glide, identify. You may not get it straight away. There we go. Pour the water regularly, ideally. So today.
Okay, I think that's enough takeaway for me. Let's create a section for day 9. And I'm gonna update the stream, so BRB.
Welcome to day 9 of the course. We'll start off with a quick exercise that will help to strengthen the muscles around your throat. Now, you know I've said that to achieve a powerful and deep voice, ideally most of your body should be in relaxation. However, certain muscle groups do need to be toned up in order to work the tongue and the teeth and the vocal folds so you get a good, clear speech output. So, close your mouth and suck on an invisible straw. Hold it for about 5 seconds, then release.
Suck on visible straw.
This strengthens all important muscle groups in your throat. Try repeating.
Strengthens important muscle groups.
This half a dozen times, but stop.
Repeat half a dozen times.
If you start getting dizzy. I'm sure you're making notes of these exercises as we go along. There is a downloadable PDF as well. So,
is there? Oh, lesson 3, day 2. Is that right? What?
hello, welcome to day.
But so there's section 1, section 2. Okay, I think he means this. Or does he mean this? I think he means this. Okay. Awesome. How do I go back?
So we'll call this the invisible straw exercise, shall we? Okay, number 2. Here's a reminder that this training is all about improving your vocal communication skills so you can be understood better, so that you get a better impression across about your own personality as well. So the second thing today I'd like to mention to you is something further on emphasis. You want people to understand you first time. And if you find people are regularly saying, "Excuse me, what you say?"
Emphasis. Want people to understand you the first time you pitch something to them.
You really have an issue here. Not only is it a waste of your time for the sentence or question to be repeated, but the other person is likely to have a pretty poor view of you. So just think about the various issues that could be a problem here. Remember, on day 1, you noted down and scored yourself on various parameters. Maybe you realized that you speak too fast, for example. Then I asked you to remember to make an active note when you are communicating to slow down and have the confidence to leave gaps at the appropriate points. Do you slur your words? Then the clarity exercises that I'm giving you will help this enormously. But you know, the main way that communication can be made clearer is when certain words are emphasized. When professional voiceovers are recording commercials for radio or TV or cinema, emphasis is extremely important because the advertiser is paying for every precious second. If the important name of the product or its main feature is lost by poor diction by the voiceover, it's a waste of money. Different emphasis can also completely change the meaning of a sentence. Let me demonstrate. Here's a question. It's on the screen now. Do you want to read it to me? Okay, so how did you say it? What word had the emphasis, or even what words? You see, if you put emphasis on any of those words in that sentence, it would mean a...
Let me try this before he does it. Do you want to have dinner with us tonight? So I emphasize dinner because that's probably the most important word in this sentence. And perhaps I should have emphasized tonight as well by modulating upwards at the very end. Do you want to have dinner with us tonight?
a different thing. If you put an emphasis on do, Do you want to have dinner with us tonight? It's as if you're fed up with asking the person continually, as in, do you want to have dinner with us or not? Or if the emphasis was on you, do you want to have dinner with us tonight? It's the same question was asked to other people, and now it's your turn to answer, and so on. So if the emphasis was on dinner, do you want to have dinner with us tonight? It's as if lunch was also mentioned previously. Yes, I know it's a silly example, but you see what I mean.
Do you want to have dinner with us tonight? Do you want to have dinner with us tonight?
When you talk to other people, they have no idea what you're about to say. So if you emphasize the main words in the sentence to make the sense of what you are saying clearer, everybody wins. Now, you don't need to emphasize the important words ridiculously, but I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. So your homework today is to be aware of emphasis words when you're speaking to others. Will you do that? Relaxation is the key to a good, deep, mature voice quality. Yes, I know I have said this before, but it is so important. Tension is our enemy. Any over-tension...
Okay. Section 3 is about tension. It's not something you want to have.
Tension is bad, whether mental tension or tension around your shoulders, around your throat area, tension over the diaphragm area because you're hunched forward looking at your phone. And let me remind you again that you really do need to have good general posture. This is good advice anyway, to prevent you getting a bad back, but the other advantage is that you look taller and more authoritative, more attractive, and your voice will sound better. So here's another relaxation exercise today, and it's simply yawning, but not just any kind of yawning. So I want you to yawn to a really extreme level, even if you're not tired. Yawn, yawn again, stretch for good measure if you like. Do this to relax the neck muscles and the vocal cords. Relaxation is the key to a good, deep, mature voice quality. Now, when I was in my early teens, I had
practice yawning. Okay, section 4. Moving on.
Had speech issues, all sorts of problems. My parents identified this and sent me off to an elocution teacher. I absolutely hated it. I hated it with a passion at the time, because most of the time the lessons had all these awful, naff poems, and I had to recite them. But, obviously, I now really appreciate that my parents did this for me and sent me to elocution lessons, and I understand now why the teacher used poems. Remember when we did onomatopoeic words in day 4? These are the kinds of words that can help your conversation sound interesting, colourful, passionate, and, well, help to make people absolutely engaged and sometimes enchanted with your voice. Words like imagination, trickle, majestic, enormous, and all that sort of thing. The thing with poems is that many are crying out to have this emotion treatment we've already discussed, and not only that, but you need to work out what words have to be emphasized, and they are very useful things to work with, even doing voice training. So I'm going to put up on the screen an old poem by W.B. Yeats called Never Give All the Heart. Just sight read it. See how you get on. Just try and put as much emotion as you can into it, as if you've been called on stage to perform this classic work. You're going out of your comfort zone again, I know. Just do it for me, please. Pause the video and read the extract from the poem.
Okay. Never give all the heart for love. Will hardly seem worth thinking of to passionate women if it seem. certain, and they never dream that it fades out from kiss to kiss. For everything that's lovely is but a brief, dreamy, kind light. Oh, never give the heart outright, for they, for all the smooth lips can say, have given their hearts up to the play. And who could play it well enough, if deaf and dumb and blind with love? Enough in love rhyme. He that made this known, he that made this knows all the cost, for he gave his heart and lost.
Well, even though I can't hear what you've done, I'm sure you gave it your best shot. I'm going to give it my best shot now as well. This is how I would interpret it.
Never give all the heart, for love will hardly seem worth thinking of to passionate women if it seems certain, and they never dream that it fades out from kiss to kiss. For everything that's lovely is but a brief, dreamy, kind delight. Oh, never give the heart outright, for they, for all smooth lips can say, have given their hearts up to the play. And who could play it well enough, if deaf and dumb and blind with love? He that made this knows all the cost, for he gave all his heart and lost.
Right, here is part of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. So scan the words, determine the mood of the words and the speed that would make it effective, and also what words would need emphasis as well. Pause the video and have a go.
Oh, crap, another one. Okay, here it goes. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore.
Enjoy that? You are, aren't you? Come on, admit it. Okay, here is my interpretation. I'm not saying this is right in any way. Maybe you've done a better version than me. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here for evermore.
Now, these poems may not float your boat. There may be more contemporary works that you would be able to relate to more. So seek them out, approach them in the same way. Get into character. Imagine you are a poet in a small club on stage, about to perform these on stage. And even though you may not understand totally the meaning of what you're saying, you'll be able to work out the feel and mood from scanning the actual words and the subject matter. And as well as the visualization about you being there on a stool in a small poem club somewhere, just imagine the audience listening to your every word, every syllable. They want to hear you. And this visualization will help with your confidence as well. Try to feel passionate about every word you say. Strangely, when you believe deeply about something, your voice sounds deeper too. See you tomorrow. Hello and welcome to day 9.
Oops. All right. Let's look at the Q&A for day 9. So Felix asks for the PDF material, which about a couple, I don't know, like 20 minutes ago, we found out where it was. So moving on to the next question, this person is asking for the same thing. And this guy, he didn't bother to read anyone else's response. Or actually, he's 7 months ago. And this is 6, yeah, he, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna completely disregard everyone else's questions and I'm gonna ask the same exact thing. That is so sad. Come on, Nabil. Get with the program. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm good for today. So actually check where I'm at. And I'm gonna put up my BRB sign actually.